Black Jester matters. I guess I should make sure I get the reach for sound thing in there. Yeah. Black Jester matters. This is Good Luck Budai, the Black Jester. You know, so I pronounce. And well, I'm back on mines again. The ban was reversed because they realized the spam, or at least the story is the spam filter was, or spam alert system was wrong and accidentally got me for a false positive, I guess you can call it. At least that's what I understand. I mean, the founder of Mind still has some explaining to do as far as computing for this NSFW issue and point of view and this mob mentality of a voting a jury system. It should be fine if we knew if it was if it was like 100% of the people have to say this is wrong and it needs to be gone. But I don't think it'd be. I have doubts it's a unanimous system, but there's nothing to say it is. I also found the page where they mentioned the jury system, and they first decide if it should go to a jury too. So anyway, the Computing Forever video, I posted it I put it to another video in the past, so it should be in the comment area. Getghostery.com to because I'll get into that later, but. Okay, a friend of mine here or an acquaintance of mine who has problems with this Dr. Woke stuff, has this thing over here. It's a change.org thing to, I don't know why I picked Yes We Can thing. Ah, shit. Oh, crap. Thank God it's black, huh? When people drink coffee, drink black, wear black, I guess. Makes them figure out. Anyway, I'm doing this a second run because, like an idiot, I forgot to turn on this mic. It's the lapel mic. I was recording with a bad one with the screeching siren sounds in the back. The camera one, the copper lock or whatever. Got the faults of the manufacturer. It's the fault of the. I think the video recording is better because it's not taking the sound in though. Anyway, yeah. So, yeah, there's a big concern about this forced transgender they made the doctor into, basically, because it's technically once a man, always a man. And there's also this issue where they're trying to fit a black female into the past lives. They made this false pretense because of the Morbius thing that he had all these lives before Hartnell, but they don't realize that they're both fighting in this mind meld thing. That's what they called it. And they showed past lives, but they were showing Morbius's past lives too. You freaking dipshit. I can't remember what article said that, but it was ridiculous. I could probably bring it up, I guess, but where that thing doesn't keep the icon. That's a 7. I'm not sure. Oh, it passed. No, the history. Oh, that's on the wrong. I shouldn't use that one. Oh yeah, LGBT shit. Maybe I'll get to that too. I, I can show my tweet on that matter. Pardon me if I didn't have this prepared, but I wasn't prepared to talk about it. I don't like talking about much. I'm not a real fan script guy or anything like that. I like the classic series because I actually condemn the. Well, there is that digital spy thing. Where's that tweet? Let's see. Open another browser. It won't show up until I. Maybe I should just prop up the article. Sadly, I have to run my own parody account, so. But I don't want to even put that out in public. The thing. Buttigieg won the Iowa. Usually it's some sort of fringer in Iowa. Once Buttigieg decides he's gender fluid, he won't actually really make much of an impact on that sense because they don't really care about the gay anymore. They don't care about lesbian. They don't even care about real transsexual. They care about people who are fly-by-night gender. You know, like they say, I feel like I'm a male today. Tomorrow I might feel mood gender. That's what all that is. Find the article. Actually, this just kind of spells out a lot of the things, this horrible digital spy thing. I'll put the tweet I posted on. Actually, it's an idea. I'll show the Gap Trends link because that would have the dissenter comment, which is basically the same as the tweet, but I prefer to show the dissenter comment because it'd be a better idea. So, getting a little making of situation here. Okay, yeah, do that. Yeah, I wonder what that showed. I do a lot of stuff with my browser history on this thing, so I'm not logged into Gab on this browser, but there we go. Doctor Who's writers are listening to their critics in a big way. I'm not even sure what that even means in a sense, but this guy's talking about representation. Yeah. He's saying there should be representation, but it wasn't enough representation, but it wasn't good enough representation. We're bringing up the trope about violence, gays getting killed and stuff like that early on, and stuff like that, the gay kill thing. Just really bitching. It's like making up things based on what happened to blacks in the 60s and the 70s and 80s even. it's it's bullshit. I mean, basically, what they want to do, what this guy's bitching about, is basically that they're admitting that violence happens to gays. Now, it doesn't happen every day, but I mean, this guy saying that it's bad to present a gay getting killed or even being beaten up. I guess in a sense, might as well be. I mean, he's basically saying that we might as well erase gay bashing because it's not right that they die in the early moment they come out as gay. There's too much of this shit. Bill Maher once said, why does everything have to be gay? That wasn't politically incorrect on his old show on ABC. And he claims to be very far left. I mean, he's saying he believes in gun rights, but for a gun, a single gun. Because he doesn't understand the whole purpose that one gun won't stop a military force against you. Yeah, so this guy's bitching and also happy that somehow there are gays involved. And, I am bisexual. I don't give two shits about Harkness. I don't think it's much of a character. I think he was a lame duck. It wasn't forced. The only reference to it was a honeypot he was talking about or something he was doing. It's and he makes bisexuals out to look like sleazebags, which is usually what they try to do, and that's what gays like. Gays bash bisexuals as being disease carriers and people who throw their dicks around without thinking. And that's exactly what Harkness is about. He's a sleazebag. He's not a fucking hero or anything like that. He's nothing. So, but either way, I don't give a shit about the representation. Representation doesn't mean good things. It's kind of hard to be represented a lot of the time when mostly aliens are about and stuff like that. Even human beings aren't being represented at this point. I mean, when is there going to be a human doctor? Well, there was a human doctor. That was the movie version in back when Cushing did it, and that was not as good. It's not as good. That was human representation, I guess. They always say, but an alien until representation comes up. And then they go, but my color, but my complexion, but my this, but my that. And then beige people need more beige people. And we're going to have to do huge pie charts just to figure out how much of what to do, put in everything else, and try to cram it in, force it. If I were into sleazy editing, YouTube editing, I'd probably be showing that bit with South Park where which is apt actually in this case because he was transitioning, fully transitioning beyond usual medical recommendation nowadays. Mr. Garrison into Miss Garrison by cramming the penis inverted into his body. That would have been a nasty shot to show. Whew, that was quite something. He was talking about how natural it was and cutting it up and folding it in. But exactly, how natural is it? I mean, that's suggesting that you heal a penis, because regeneration is all about healing, right? So to say that they regenerate into a female from a man, you're treating a penis like it's a growth or a tumor that has to be healed. I mean, the misandry is disgusting. Now, if you're making the black one a past doctor, she just said she had an upgrade. And if that's not about gender, because that black person's a woman, then clearly she's saying the upgrade was about the skin color. Basically, she is, aside from Peter Davison, she's probably the whitest actor to play that job. I mean, if you're going by complexion, she's perfuric. She looks like she's got the fabled King George disease, porphyria. She's that bad. I mean, there's like she's flaking on the skin type. I mean, you couldn't possibly have made her more Aryan. I mean, which is apt given the leftist theme of it. I mean, there's nothing more racist than it. I don't want to talk about that too much. But anyway, this guy's got. I'll try to put the link in the description, just like anything else I mentioned that might be good to carry over too. I have no real I wanted to make a comment about this in a place where it might make sense, because I carried very different view than a lot of these people. A lot of these people ignored a lot of the problems in New Who and all this time, and some of it had precedent towards this. I mean, like a female Centauran, for God's sakes, which erases a feminist journalist, Sarah Jane Smith, who first met a Centauran, who said that there were no female Centaurs. It was they were a clone race, you see, as the doctor would put it. He insulted their first and secondary breeding factions. He was new to that whole concept. He didn't know what humans were at that point. Lynx was the Centauran. Anyway, and the fact that they ignore all these little things that they were applying towards us. They're putting their feet in the water. They're warming it up. They were screwing with serious milestones from the classic era. And they're seeing if they get away with it. And they let them get away with it. You know why? Because they followed the brand name, Doctor Who. They didn't give a damn about the show. They didn't give a damn about the characters. They gave a damn about the brand and about their nerd cred and all that other crap. And a lot of us geeks do care about that stuff because we're geeks. We know stuff. We know the stuff. We like it. We don't watch it because of the brand. We don't watch it to fit in with the geeks. We are the geeks. The nerds usually try to fit in with geeks, and they're like tag-alongs in that sort of world, so they usually catch on to these things a little too late. Anyway, I get outraged about getting melded with the whole fandom that's just fanatically obsessed with this brand. And I dismiss the fact it's not about gender. It is about gender. I mean, we don't have to hate the actor. I think that's something nerds usually fall on, where they blame the actor for what the writer does or doesn't do and stuff like that, and that's wrong. As long as the black actress at least had some bearing. You know, it's like, if that was the first female one, that would have been a little more acceptable. A little more, but still, there's a problem with story. The fact is, they had an opportunity. Conservatively, I would say the second Doctor would have had to bring up, during his talk with in the Tomb of the Cybermen, family and stuff and his age. It should have brought it up there for it to really work successfully. It should have at least been brought up by Peter Davison's at the time, but it wasn't. I mean, they toyed with the idea and then they dismissed it. That's, in fact, Tom Baker, and what I look for in the interactions, Tom Baker and the producer at the end of his years, Nathan Turner, fucked with a guy. They actually pranked the guy into convincing him that it was possible his girlfriend could be the next one, and they really bullshitted him. It was a troll. It was hilarious, and you know Baker is like the master of troll talk and stuff like that, and he can really wind. It's hilarious. When I was reading that whole situation, I can't believe the guy didn't realize he was being fucked with. It's like, yeah, sure, we'll do it. Oh yeah, we'll do it. They toyed with the idea and dismissed it outright. Even they always dismissed it and toyed it. Even that guy before said he wouldn't force it. Moffat, even he said he wouldn't force the idea, and they do force it, and that's probably why he left. I guess they expected him to force it from a governmental level. The producer of the old couldn't be forced to do those things. I mean, they they had a little more courage. Certainly, and writers and stuff like that. They had a little more pull, I guess. Holmes, he was like a massive rebel. I mean, he would badmouth his bosses and the government tax department in one episode. Uh, and that's that's what I take away from the Azurian thing, Sunmakers. It was a brilliant treatise against his own bosses and the tax man and stuff like that. And basically, this is how he felt he was working. He was working for Azurians, basically. It was a good it was a great it's a great episode. He was pissed. You could tell he was pissed. Um, but yeah, they had balls. Barry Letts had balls and stuff like that, and they all had the ability to actually run the show and stuff like that. Now I think they're more at the end of a bureaucratic stick, and it could be like Red Tape miniseries where these BBC executives are trying to get fired. It could be some BBC could be that sort of scenario where BBC execs are really trying to get fired because they can't even pay for the low numbers on this now with Top Gear because Top Gear is nothing now too. The best of them are on Amazon now. So anyway, I'm going to get to something a little more different. $5 plastic bags. It's London Drugs. I'm not advertising them. I'm just saying it straight out. Their bags used to be better. They didn't get holes in them when you got back home. They used to be reusable, which is kind of interesting. Before they started at 5 cents for these bags, they were reusable. Now look at this. It's weak. It split up. I had to get some stuff. I'm crippled. I can't just. I was getting my Buscopan for my IBS, and I was getting some cranberry juice to prevent urine infections, which I'm prone to because of my hypospadias cripple problem. So yeah, so I had to get a bag. I'm a cripple. I can't just carry things like in my arms and stuff like that easily. I had to walk around with a cane. So to minimize the pain, mostly. I ain't doing no weed. I'm not gonna kill the pain. I just want to limit it. My autonomic system's dependent on actually feeling pain. No species could possibly survive without an autonomic system. Not in our type of scenario. Anyway, yeah. So, yes, and yeah. So, that's that, right? So they're charging 5 cents. I'm saying this because, it's not the 5 cents as much, although, it's probably a lot when you're not a billionaire or something like that, but it adds up. But the issue really important here is that the issue here. Oh, before that, I want to get to the. They did finally get the numbers out on the. Buttigieg apparently won the. Of course, they consider Buttigieg part of the cheat, but Buttigieg got most of the votes in the caucus, which is a silly system. Regular primaries are better, and states should just run their own ballots with a state party beside them, not the national party. But anyway, they just pretend it's really matters. And, given the Democrats' attitude right now of popular votes, they should probably just have one national vote on their party. If they want to show how good it is. But this is how they're working. I mean, imagine the state parties that bail on them as affiliates the moment they do that. But yeah, so we got So Buttigieg is just above Bernie, and the Iowa caucus. Usually, the fringers usually win Iowa. That's usually the case. It's not a leftists usually tend to flow on the mainstream more in cities and stuff like that. So yeah, there was one claim way back when was I mean, they called him a crank, but Lyndon LaRouche claimed he won the Iowa caucus once, and they fabricated the result at the end. I'm not sure if it's true. They were rather conspiratorial among that crowd of Democrats, but you never know. He might be telling the truth. I would think it was the last time he ran for the Democratic nomination. Anywho, yeah, well, so they had a huge screw up. It could be because they were all cheating. But this seems to be a thing this year. I mean, Massachusetts, no, the New Hampshire primary for the Libertarian Party, Vermin Supreme won, great, good guy. But they say there were problems with their flawed system there too, so it could be a year for flawed systems in the primaries. Who knows? And caucuses. Caucus itself is a flawed system, though. It's ridiculous as a... Anyway, back to the bag. So 5-cent bags. It was in the 80s and 90s when this was a thing. They're threatening to ban these in Canada now. And there's no reason why adding 5 cents to a bag would eliminate environmental problems. Things are better now. A lot better than the 80s and 90s. Certainly in BC. And that was without charging for bags. I'm just saying this is the fact that it's flawed to charge. It won't do anything for the environment. And they seem to be creating some substandard bags now for even this place. So they're not reusable. So you can't reuse them for trash and stuff like that. So it's kind of a waste, too. I mean, I reuse London Drug bags all the time because they're so strong. Now they seem to be tearing. So that's another thing. And these are probably produced in Chinese factories, pumping up more pollution in China, which should be where they should worry about it, as well as India. I mean, it's when these things are concentrated in one area, it's probably a little worse than if you spread it out over places. So that, if you will only have the slave labor in certain countries, well, there you go. People are, I think largely they deal with China because they're afraid that between Japan and everywhere else, they'll probably have business planes shot down if they don't play ball and open a factory there. Also, it's knowing who you can bribe in corrupt countries, like status countries. The more government, the more corruption. Bribery. If you know who to bribe, you'll have to do business in China. That's the thing. And speaking of Chinese, we got the Concord Pacific Dragon Boat Festival thing that was handed out on the Lunar New Year. But this is the important thing. They talk about cultural appropriation. It's one thing when people do it, but, if restaurants and stuff like do it. But this is government. Look at this government. The government is pushing this. They're putting money behind it. They're handing these things out. Well, they're certainly taking credit for it, putting it right on their logo, BC and Canada. Apparently, they got some sort of coupon or ticket for it inside. I didn't even notice this before. There was a candy in here too, rather mediocre candy. That's government for you. And voila, that's it. Less government will just do the trick. You don't need more government to get a festival going. I'm more of a kayak guy myself, but the dragon boat thing's been gone apparently, I guess, because they say it's back in Vancouver. North America's flagship race returns to Vancouver. I didn't even know it was gone. I thought they had them every year. There are certainly dragon boaters in the city. Um, but, it wouldn't be gone so much if we had less government, we had less intervention, stuff like that. Government stands in the way of this stuff. It doesn't make it happen better. It just makes it happen more expensive if it does happen at all. Which means that sometimes things have to be cut, and that makes it less likely to happen again because people don't like that other stuff you have to cut. Need less government, more responsibility, stuff like that. Social programs, maybe they have a necessity because there are promises that have been made to a certain generation. They were ready for a safety net to happen. And government does have police knocking down kneecaps. They cause a lot of problems of medical programs that fail and stuff like that, and people get sick, don't get better. So they're probably hedging their bets with it. Maybe if they say the social programs will end 18 years, well, no one born now. If they take a bill and they said, in this bill, anyone born on this day will never be able to sign up for the social programs we have now. Then that will give people time to prepare their kids, prepare everything, so that they are available. So it's available, so they can, and we can see a future where this won't happen, where this won't be necessary, or hopefully won't be necessary. And we have to rein in the cops. We have to make sure they're not abusing people. We've got to take that more seriously. We should take it nearly like serial killing or rape, maybe like one level down. It's a serious abuse of power. And we need to make sure we take an issue with more than treatment and look at curing and stuff like that, and things like that, of that nature. We shouldn't, and in some degree, and we should not be protecting people who hurt themselves. Personal responsibility is apparent. If we find that people are destroying their own livers, we don't give them replacement livers, we don't give them treatments for free. If people are destroying their lungs or whatever, people are fat asses, or underweight even, by their own choice not to eat because of some quirk in their personality, we shouldn't be funding it. Sure, people will die. But the fact is, people are trying to die, and why do we intervene? We can't force help on people. They have a choice to get help. But we can't force help on people. And we can't protect people from themselves. And that's the other problem. And that's the whole problem with government. Government's always protecting people from themselves. It's forcing help on people. It's not even just offering help, it's forcing it on them. And those are major problems, and those are major expense issues too that occur, because when you force help, you end up paying more than you probably actually need to, because busybodies start helping people who actually don't need it. They just assume they need it because they'd rather have the clientele list to pay to brag to the government about and get their stipends, stuff like that. Get a certain amount of money per person they treat on these issues and stuff like that, right? So they even convince people to have a problem that they don't have a problem, or they'll send cops around to force them into the hospital, very heavy-handedly. That happens way too much. So the fire stopped. I'm going to freeze to death. It's nice that I get the coat. I only put a certain amount of what I normally put on, so I can just put the pantomime on, and I don't want to put the whole thing on unless I'm leaving the house. Whole black Jester thing. We need a road to personal responsibility, increased personal responsibility. We need a we need a future where there isn't a social program. dependent society. We created a social program to send dependent society, and it's not going to change. So until we plan out for that date when we don't have one, when we have generations that don't depend on it, don't count on it, then we will be able to fully eliminate most of government completely. Well, not completely, most of government. I mean, we can focus completely on defending individual liberties alone, and we'll have and stuff like that. And we need to eliminate government taxes on individuals, stop taxing corporate income, but also establishing a tithe on, well, I guess a royalty on corporate sales. Corporate sales, corporate investment in take-ins, corporate gains, things like that. Not individual gains, and it should start with that too, because individuals shouldn't have to be paying. They can't, and individuals and solo companies, they can't afford all this stuff to get their money back and stuff like that. There shouldn't be rebates. Rebates are bullshit. Rebates are a lie. Rebates and tax credits are the biggest lie ever. They're not tax cuts. They're not cuts. They're there just to give another civil service man a job to send money that they stole from you in the first place, without any proper justification. You can't even send the departments you want to fund directly. Like if you wanted to send the money to a department that just paid off the debt, or you want to send disability, your tax dollars, or maybe it was 50-50, 100%, 25%, you want to spread it along. Maybe you want arts funding out there. You directed a certain amount of your tax dollar to that yourself, so that it goes straight to those departments, not through a revenue system. It's bad enough it's still going to trickle down, because that's another problem with government. Government is basically a socialist version of trickle-down economics. It is. They send it to the top, and it trickles down, and eventually some little guys down below get a little of the money. And that includes some of the ground forces, or forces, I guess we may as well call them forces, the ground civil servants, or the small ants, or working ants, who are distributing the checks and stuff like that on the lower level. They get the least amount too, and it's all these upper civil servants making more. It's the Orwell thing. Some pigs are more equal than others, and people scoff at trickle-down economics on a privatized level. Is that worse than trickle-down economics on a socialist level, with the social system? It's worse with America, because they should, legally speaking, like we in Canada, have a decentralized social program system. Or if they choose to have a system. Like they can choose to not to, provinces can also choose not to have social programs too. States should have the right to be able to have social programs or not have social programs. And there's a huge constitutional problem with them having a centralized national system. Because technically speaking, it's not even a country, it's a union of states. This is where they make a mistake with the popular vote. It's about the United States, which are members of this union. And each of these states are technically little countries that form this union to defend, work under the principles of liberty that were established by the Founding Fathers. And that's what the 10th Amendment is there to protect. The 10th Amendment says the social programs are the dominion of each, I don't know why they don't go to the courts on this, of each state. They are not the dominion of the national government. Here we have a national pension program, but they should decentralize that too. Technically here, the only thing, education is the only thing national government has to fund under the Constitution. Just to, hopefully that's not fucking around with it. Alright. Well, anyway, I will leave you alone. dog wasn't barking through this one. Okay. Yeah, this is episode 24 of Black Jester Matters, and you'll see the title before you get on this, I guess. You'll probably see the number too. Black Jester, good night, good morning, good afternoon, and whenever you're listening to this, don't dictate it, and I don't have to care about AdWords either. Stop.